till 2023, starting in July 2022. It has 6 modules with 4 topics for each module, namely leadership and management, teacher development and support, teaching and learning, curriculum and assessment module, and classroom management and soft skills. Covered this morning will be Module 1 on leadership and management with the 2 topics, advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion in your organization, and managing a diverse teacher workforce. Before we start, I would like to mention some housekeeping rules. Our webinar is video recorded, so please watch and listen to the video. This video will be less than 30 minutes. If you have any questions regarding the video, kindly type them into the chat box. After the video, we will have some time for question and answers with our trainer, Dr. Anita. From this training session onwards, please note that we will participate via the Zoom platform with the whole session recorded, and then SEAMEO RETRAC will upload the video recording of this session on our YouTube channel for your reference and review later on. The YouTube link is provided on the MOTP program's website. I will send you the link of the website into the chat box. About Dr. Anita Clapano-Oplina, she obtained her doctorate degree in education planning and management in the Philippines and had been in the field of education and engaged in administrative functions back in the Philippines. She was the assistant to the academic vice president at Xavier University in 2014 and dean of faculty and academic affairs at Finmac Cagayan de Oro College from 2015 to 2017. In 2018, she came back to SEAMEO RETRAC as a senior education specialist and has been working as a curriculum developer, instructional materials designer, trainer, researcher, and lecturer. She is very passionate about advancing the leadership and management skills of school leaders, managers, administrators, and teachers in Southeast Asia. Before turning over to our presenter, I would like to request everybody to turn on your camera for a photo shoot. Please kindly turn on your video, please. Thank you very much. So we will take 3 shots. Okay, so for the first shot, for our second shot, and for our final shot. Thank you very much, everybody. And now may I invite Dr. Anita Oplina to have some words with our dear participants.
Thank you so much for your kind introduction, Ms. Trump. And to all our participants today, welcome back and have a very pleasant morning, a very pleasant day. It's nice meeting you again. So today, as already mentioned, we're going to have the 2 topics. We have topic 3, advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion in your organization. And then topic 4, managing a diverse teacher workforce. I really welcome you to our Q&A after watching the video. As already mentioned to you that this is our community professional learning platform. So we are going to share our experiences, our concerns and issues, and anything that come to mind related to the topic that will be presented to you. And also I welcome your experiences to be shared to all of us. So without much ado, I'd like now for us to watch the video. We may now play the first topic for today.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our MOTP Series 2022. Our topics for today's session include Topic 3, Advancing Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in Your Organization, and Topic 4, Managing a Diverse Teacher Workforce. Let us start with Topic 3, Advancing Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in Your Organization, with 3 key points as follows. What is diversity, equity, and inclusion in the organization? What strategy might be used to establish diversity, equity, and inclusion in the organization? And how can you promote diversity, equity, and inclusion in your organization? What is diversity, equity, and inclusion in the organization? Diversity, equity, and inclusion in the organization, also known as DEI, relates to the actions taken to establish awareness and transform mindsets, behaviors, and practices to create and sustain a diverse, equitable, and inclusive environment. DEI is vital to creating and maintaining a successful workplace, one founded on the principle that all people can thrive personally and professionally. Before you begin to establish DEI in your organization or re-evaluate your efforts on DEI, it's important that you fully understand each component, both individually and how they work together. Diversity. Diversity is the presence of differences within a given setting. In the workplace, that can mean differences in race, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, and socioeconomic class. It can also refer to differences in physical ability, body shape or size, religion, thoughts, likes, dislikes, experiences, familial status, whether or not having kids, to name a few. All of those are components of diversity. In its simplest form, diversity means being composed of differing elements. How diversity works in the organization. In the organization, diversity means that the workplace is made up of employees from all identities and backgrounds who offer varying experiences and perspectives. No one person is diverse, but a collection of unique people creates a mosaic known as diversity. Diversity is proven to make organizations and workplaces more productive, tolerant, and welcoming. Equity. Equity is the process of ensuring that processes and programs are impartial, fair, and provide equal possible outcomes for every individual. Equity is fair treatment, access, opportunity, and advancement for all employees. It is an action-based practice that requires organizations to identify and eliminate barriers that have historically prevented the full participation of all groups. Equity influences who has access to career opportunities and how employees feel valued at work. It creates a heightened environment for employee participation and contribution. How equity works in the organization. In the organization, equity acknowledges that all are different, and those differences make everyone great. As such, organizations that adopt equity practices don't establish one-size-fits-all policies. Rather, they take individual needs into consideration, while also readjusting organizational structures to account for the disadvantaged minority groups. The implementation of equity at work must be intentional and well-designed. Leaders must thoroughly examine their organization's policies, procedures, and environments to determine if the workplace is truly equitable. Finally, inclusion. Inclusion is the practice of ensuring that people feel a sense of belonging in the workplace. Inclusiveness is more than a feeling or a natural product of diversity. It is the product of intentional action to make employees feel that they are seen, heard, and accepted at work. This means that every employee feels comfortable and supported by the organization when it comes to being their authentic selves. How inclusion works in the organization? In the organization, inclusion is fostering a safe work environment where employees can speak up without fear. They feel emotionally safe and accepted. They are innovative in offering solutions, voicing their needs, and interact easily with others, no matter their rank and title. It also relates to flexible work models that honor different schedules and responsibilities and respects the different styles of communication, leadership, and ways of working. Understanding how each element of DEI builds upon the others is important to creating an organization that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive of all individuals. Just like DEI is a multifaceted process, leaders must lean on each other. It is not going to be a single person that addresses the issue of DEI for an organization. Leaders are not going to be able to have all the answers because they don't have all the perspectives. Create a DEI team. Make your organization a diverse, equitable, and inclusive where employees share unique perspectives, respect one another's individual needs, and reach their full potential without barriers. In this regard, your organization needs scalable ways to ensure that its diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives are solid and sustainable. You need a strategy to establish DEI in your organization. This moves us to the second key point of my presentation. What strategy might be used to establish diversity, equity, and inclusion in the organization? I would like to share with you the real framework created by Center for Creative Leadership, CCL, to establish diversity, equity, and inclusion in the organization. The acronym REAL includes a 4-step process. Step 1, R, reveal relevant opportunities. Step 2, E, elevate equity. Step 3, A, activate diversity. And step 4, L, lead inclusively. Step 1, reveal relevant opportunities. The first step is about discovery, not setting agenda or duplicating diversity initiatives that seemed effective in other organizations. Step 1 involves gaining awareness of the types of diversity within and across groups and the context in which diversity, equity, and inclusion play out for individuals, teams, and the organization as a whole. In order to set a direction, leaders create alignment and generate commitment to DEI initiatives in the workplace. Top leaders should take the first steps as follows. Articulate employees' individual and collective perspective, identity, values, and culture. consider how experiences of power and privilege may affect their approach and effectiveness and that of others, and evaluate how dynamics of DEI may affect their marketplace and their business strategy. By exploring their specific context, top leaders can engage others in the organization to identify the most relevant opportunities for change and then select 2 to 3 strategic actions that will drive the desired results. Step 2, elevate equity. While there is a great deal of power in the acronym DEI, many leaders neglect the equity aspect of this term in favor of diversity and inclusiveness. The Center for Creative Leadership changes this by actively encouraging organizations to build equity into their efforts. In fact, CCL has actually shifted the order of the letters in the acronym to arrive at EDI. Currently, we can use 2 terms interchangeably. While the terms can be used interchangeably, the use of EDI instead of DEI can quickly change how organizations and individuals regard the concept of equity and its importance in the modern workplace. Of course, simply changing the acronym isn't enough. Beyond this, leaders need to take a close look at inequity across organization and acknowledge that even if they aim to elevate within their respective organizations, there is not yet a level playing field. People enter the world of work and advance through their careers with unevenness of advantage, opportunity, privilege, and power. So, what is fair opportunity is not the same for everyone. When organizational leaders express their motivation, as well as acknowledge any barriers for countering inequity, such as set clear goals toward greater equity and then take action, we signal a commitment that becomes the foundation of the organization's diversity and inclusion efforts. Step 3, activate diversity. As said, diversity is the collective of differences and similarities that includes individual and organizational characteristics, values, beliefs, experiences, backgrounds, and behaviors. Activating that diversity means recognizing both the similarities and differences between employees and other key players. Teams should also explore how the current state of diversity in the workplace impacts their assumptions and approaches, and identify ways to enhance the contribution of all team members. To be activated, however, clear goals and metrics need to be set. This should be accompanied by a commitment to achieving important EDI objectives. And step 4, lead inclusively. Inclusion requires active, intentional, and ongoing efforts to promote the full participation and sense of belonging of every employee, customer, and strategic partner. It involves policies and practices, but also the ability to envision and enact new ways of leading. Across levels and functions, leaders need to learn what is now required interpreting inclusive leadership for their various groups or for different roles. They also need tools, resources, and support as they improve their ability to identify and mitigate bias, respect differences, build empathetic relationships, foster allyship, manage conflict, and bring out the best in others. Leaders often claim to value inclusivity but neglect to put this purported priority into action. Inclusive leadership means being active and intentional in efforts to ensure that all employees, clients, customers, and stakeholders feel that they belong. This feeling can be promoted not only by developing and implementing inclusivity-oriented policies for team members to follow, but also by taking on a new approach to leadership, which is lead by example. To lead by example, key players need to understand where they show bias and why they exhibit such harmful attitudes or behaviors. Ideally, they will enjoy ample support as they seek not only to uproot such bias, but also to build more empathetic relationships and act as an ally. Employees take their cues from leaders and gauge leaders' authenticity based on their actions, words, and strategies. Workplace diversity may not be easy to achieve, but it's possible for organizations to make significant progress upon implementing a strategic, action-oriented approach. Look to the real framework to spark the changes needed to achieve true equity in your workplace and organization. With the real framework in mind, you need a model to promote DEI in your organization. This prompts us to move on to the last key point of my presentation. How can you promote diversity, equity, and inclusion in your organization? I would like to share with you the Foster model developed by Gillian Foster, hoping this will help you promoting DEI in your organization. Foster is an acronym of F, foster an awareness, acceptance, and a positive attitude. O, open your doors and organize your culture, policies, and procedures to incorporate DEI holistically. S, support fully the concept of DEI through positive and meaningful intentions. T, tackle presented challenges of DEI through your specified root cause. E, emerge with visible solutions and not just solutions to check the box. And R, review strategies for incorporating DEI. F, foster an awareness, acceptance, and a positive attitude because DEI powers innovation, which by extension leads to enhanced financial performance and thereby can be mutually beneficial. Hence, it is vital to understand the types of diversity within and across groups or teams and the perspective in which it encourages and establishes individuals, teams, and the organization. O, open your doors and organize your culture, policies, and procedures to incorporate DEI holistically. Practically, without equity, efforts to stimulate diversity and inclusion are admirable but not maintainable or justifiable. Therefore, you should have that genuine conversation at the executive meetings and recognize that there are societal inequalities and inadvertently the organization is not a level playing field either. To embrace equity is to provide all people with fair and reasonable opportunities to accomplish their full potential. Then, diversity and inclusion will take a justifiable place. S, support fully the concept of DEI through positive and meaningful intentions. Thus, set clear goals and objectives and then take the necessary action to implement. Also sustain and develop managers and teams to embrace this concept. Allow them to detect ways to improve the support of DEI, as this also reinforces the aspect of inclusion and belonging. Moreover, this demonstrates high levels of commitment, cooperation, communication, and consistency that becomes the backbone of the organization's efforts for DEI. T. Tackle presented challenges of DEI through your specified root cause. In life, we cannot exclude the realistic fact of problems, and like everything else, challenges will arise. Leaders strive very hard not to replicate and apply DEI strategies that seemed effective in other organizations. However, research and tailor strategies to mitigate the direct challenges you are encountering. Assess how the dynamics of DEI affects your marketplace and your business strategy. This will help you to tackle all challenges head-on. E. Emerge with feasible solutions and not just solutions to check the box. These solutions must be realistic, intentional, and impactful. Leaders should bring about positive change and results for both parties. And remember that they must be tailored to your organization, as each organization is unique. R. Review strategies for incorporating DEI within your space as needed, so that you, the leaders, can influence improvement. Reinforce the strategy that are working for your organization. Therefore, aim for progress and not perfection when incorporating DEI. Simply put, emphasizing robust and appropriate DEI implementation through foster model helps every employer and employee from top to bottom to show up each day without fear of being their true selves. This in turn will foster higher degrees of engagement, productivity, and innovation that will contribute to increased revenue or maximization of profits, and for school organization, improved performance. I have just finished my presentation on advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion in your organization. And I would like to leave you with a few thoughts. Advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion, known as DEI in your organization, must be intentional and well-designed. Try the real framework. Reveal relevant opportunities, elevate equity, activate diversity, and lead inclusively. Then perhaps you would like to use foster to promote DEI in your organization. And to reiterate, F, foster an awareness, acceptance, and a positive attitude. O, open your doors and organize your culture, policies, and procedures to incorporate DEI holistically. S, support fully the concept of DEI through positive and meaningful intentions. D, tackle presented challenges of DEI through your specified root cause. E, emerge with feasible solutions and not just solutions to check the box. And R, review strategies for incorporating DEI. Ultimately, DEI is about culture, leadership, and making your organization diverse, equitable, and inclusive. The way forward is different for each organization, but with REAL and Foster, your organization can reap the benefits of fully engaging the talents of your diverse workforce. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you very much for the informative video and information shared for the topic, Dr. Anita. And now we will move to our Q&A section for this topic. So should you have any questions, please kindly type them into the chat box or unmute yourself for a discussion with Dr. Anita. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much for watching the video. And again, good morning to us all. I hope you have drawn some insights from the presentation about diversity, equity, and inclusion in your school in particular. Perhaps I can share some thoughts before you will start. Maybe you are still trying to frame up, to compose or whatever for at this point in time. So may I say something about the presentation, okay? Now, first, let me just give simple, I would say, idea about diversity, inclusion, equity, and inclusion. Now, diversity, we are so familiar with the term. When we speak of diversity, we are referring to differences. And differences can mean many aspects. It could mean the backgrounds. It could mean the culture, the lifestyle, religion. It could mean gender, or even family status, whether married, single, And so this diversity is consisting of differences put together in the organization, in the school. See, in the school, we are different. Individuals are unique and different, simply because of different backgrounds and orientations. We finish from different schools and universities, colleges and universities. That alone is already difference. So come to think of differences in a wider aspect, from simple to maybe global aspect of difference, of diversity. And now we move to another term, which is equity. What do we mean by equity? In the organization, there are already diverse people. How do we understand equity and apply equity in the organization? So when we speak of equity, we are referring to fair treatment, fair treatment, fair access, fair opportunity, fair advancement of all employees. That's equity. Maybe an organization is diverse, but maybe not equitable, because there may be kind of some favoritism, you know what I mean, kind of. So it's not equity. So practicing equity. Now, what about inclusion? So as mentioned in my presentation, inclusion refers to letting everyone in the organization feels that sense of belonging, that each one is accepted, valued, and respected. That's inclusion. But we see, the DEI is a process. It's not perfect. It's not finished, It's an ongoing process because, there are changes in the organization. Diversity may change. And other people come in with different backgrounds. So you continue the process of implementing our DEI. So then I presented, so in the ongoing process, we need a strategy that would sustain us, to make it sustainable. And in my presentation, I mentioned about the real framework, the real. So the R, reveal relevant opportunities, the E, elevate equity, and the A, active diversity, and then lead inclusively. This will sustain in implementing DEI in the organization. We need a strategy to do that. because as I said, it's an ongoing process. But we are hoping, that we are doing well, so that all the employees will feel they belong and they can work, hard, and they will perform better and contribute to the improvement of the school. But then, see, with the framework, we also need some processes, some practices, some tips to allow us to, continue implementing the DEI. And then there, I also mentioned the foster. Maybe you don't need to really implement all the tips at once, but you can choose which one you need, to be able to advance DEI in the organization. Why I am saying this, that, kind of implying that DEI really has to happen in the school, it is because it is the call now of the United Nations, UNESCO, and our education is calling us. And really letting us do something about DEI, because we also practice that among our students. School now is open, practicing the DEI, applying to promote quality education. So this just kind of background of the presentation that I have. So at this point in time, if you have some questions or maybe sharing of experiences, then we are now ready.
Yes, I can see that in the chat box, we're having a few questions. So could you please look at the question in the chat box, please?
Okay, may I start from here? Okay, I guess this is the first one from Chankia Bin. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. What should we consider for an inclusive communication? It's a very interesting question. Now, inclusive communication, I would say that this is the kind of communication where you are accommodating, everyone. You are talking, you are reaching out all the employees, every individual in the organization, perhaps in the school. That is inclusive communication. Another idea here is that if, for example, you have an employee who could not speak that language, like different languages, if you mean inclusive communication, when translation, translating the material into the language that the individual can understand, that is inclusive communication. So the purpose here is that to be able to reach out and feel the person respected and valued, and consider the need of the person or the employee. So that is inclusive communication. Firstly, you have to reach out to individual, not just a group of people, but individual. And then if there is a need to translate the language to the language of that individual, then that's very inclusive communication. And then also, if you can do some like pictures or infographics, to better understand the communication process, then that is desirable. And of course, the manner we communicate should be in a manner that is not offensive. Okay. I hope I have answered your question. Then you can always make a follow-up. Are there more? So we have here from Joshua Alonsagay. Okay, hi Joshua. Would you like to share your experiences or some encountered problems and how you solve the problems? Okay, thank you for this question. I think I can share what experience I had when I was still teaching in the university. There is the problem of the employee, my colleague, in terms of, like bullying, bullying. Kind of. It's a kind of a name calling, that this person, this teacher, one teacher feeling is ahead, of we have a new teacher coming to the school, and it seems that there is a conflict, and the other person, the other teacher was really so much affected because that former colleague was naming, bullying her. It was a problem because this teacher came to me crying, and we talked about it, but it seems that the previous, the former teacher was really quite hard to talk. There's really kind of I would say a silo. This is a group of teachers, another group of teachers, and conflict. Now, what did I do? I talked to them and have a dialogue, a communication. But it seems that there are many cases like that that's happening in the school. So what happens is that we conducted a training, like a diversity training. We get a speaker, and that works. So if there are problems like that, we can start from our own, way, and then it seems that we need external help. Then we do some training. And that's what we did back in my university. So we have here from Chifel Baldesco Fabillar. It was a nice presentation. Read me if I'm wrong. Holistic approach to the AI requires thinking outside the box to make it more inclusive and dynamic. I definitely agree with you. The managerial implication is to treat others with fair giving opportunities for professional development and personal development. Definitely, yes. So I understand that implementing the AI really needs thinking outside of the box. Why? Because there are rules, we follow policies in the school. We have a system to follow. But then we see problem arises, concerns, which may not really, may be different from what are being practiced in the school. Now we have to address that. That's why we think outside of the box. We find ways to address that problem. That's DEI. And thank you for bringing that out. And as I already mentioned also that DEI, especially in terms of equity, should really practice fair treatment, fair access, fair advancement of employees. That is really what DEI is about. Now, what is the purpose of that? Why do we practice DEI? Why do we implement DEI? What do you think? See, the goal of the DEI is to promote, to be able to inspire, to motivate employees, people to contribute, to perform better, to be able to achieve, the goal of the school, the vision, mission of the school. And if be in the organization to achieve the vision, mission of the organization successfully. And we have here a follow-up from Jeffel. Please allow me to share inclusive communication, sharing information in a way that everybody can understand. Okay, please do it. I am giving you the floor, Jeffel, to share your experience. Hi, Jeffel. Ms. Chow?
Yes, I believe that we should come back to Mr. Jeffel later on and discuss other questions first.
Okay, thank you. We have here from Sarin. Yeah. 2 questions. Okay, so what is the difference between EDI and DEI? Very, very good question. And why is there a change from EDI to DEI? Is there any tool that can be used to measure the level of DEI performance? Thanks. Actually, there is not much difference in terms of the changing of the acronym. The difference lies on the emphasis. The EDI term could mean equity, diversity, and inclusion. It would mean that giving importance first on equity. I mean, not really important, but focusing on equity. Why? Because according to the CCR, Center Creative Leadership, as I mentioned, some managers and leaders emphasize on diversity and inclusion and miss the point to stress, to give importance on equity. And so they try to put the E first. Think of E. Equity is important because the organization may be diverse and inclusive. So equity comes first in the EDI to put emphasis on equity. Okay, that's the difference. And okay, why is there a change? As I mentioned already, the change is to put emphasis on equity. That's it. Now, is there any tool that can be used to measure the level of DEI performance? Tool is available. Maybe I can send you later about the tool to measure DEI performance. There are tools. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, we have here from Richie Makatangay. How will you encourage my colleagues to become more effective and efficient to meet the deadlines? It's a very interesting question. I think first and foremost in the DEI process, communication really matters a lot. Communication is priority to be able to achieve DEI. So in that regard, you can, first, I guess once the teachers, your colleagues, all of the whole staff, the workforce are really are one in understanding the importance of deadline, then I guess that would not become a problem. However, there are cases when really, and that also is striking because I experienced that back in the university, that there are teachers who are not up to deadlines. And that's really a big challenge. I guess, I don't know the problems of the teacher having that. Is it a mindset? Probably a mindset, aside from the other concerns that are happening within the individual. The thing here is, the way I handled that back in my university is that I really talk a lot. I give time to reach out to the teacher and to let the teacher understand that this would affect the whole system and affect the students, and that would affect the performance of the teacher. See? That's very, very important because we are monitoring and evaluating teachers. If that will not be corrected, then the performance of the teacher will be affected. And with that, the teacher improves. So, as I said, DEI requires communication. And it is now our approach on how we deal with the problems that would really kind of gather the results that we would like to happen. So we still have a follow-up here. Despite spending many years in the institution, she consistently submits work after the deadline or fails to meet it. That's really a big challenge if the teacher really remains hard after all the interventions and maybe things, perhaps, that have been done. And I understand that once the teacher is already really regular, tenured teacher, we cannot just do things you would like to do. In that, no, I see the problem there is quite really challenging. But just be consistent, like reminding the teachers or the teacher, and that would affect the performance. And I don't know, from anyone from you who can maybe share your experience on how to handle this kind of problem, because this is a challenging problem. On my part, I would consistently communicate and remind. Yes? Yes, Jake.
Hello, Doc Anita Molina. Thank you very much for that one. Actually, with regards to the motivation of submitting the documents, etc. No, it's quite a challenge On my part, actually, I am working as a quality assurance coordinator in a university. Actually, you're correct when you said that it is on the constant follow-ups. Second is on the motivation that the administrator give to the faculty or to the teacher, because there is an important role played by the administrator on how to motivate and include his or her faculty or his or her teachers in terms of this type of the pandemic. Especially with this span of time, there is a very big effect on the emotional aspect or the emotional area of faculty, which they will perform less and they will perform very low. That's why as a leader, as what you have mentioned, we need to foster them, understand them, carry them, and of course, not to tolerate them, but little by little, it's just flying a kite. You need to let them fly. And if you see them very far already, you need to pull them back to maintain again and to bring back the composure that they had when we first meet them. It's very important as to how are we going to embrace the weaknesses and the strength of our faculty. It's not just been saying that I am a leader, I should be here, I should mandate whatever they will do. So the problem right now, they will submit documents late. They will not listen to you because you do not know what kind of culture do they have. It's very rampant in the Philippines. It's the problem most or teachers or school heads do have a problem on this here in the Philippines, because it's the sharing of my students in the grad school. They would always say that my faculty is like this and like that, but I always ask them one question. The question is that, how do you regulate your faculty? It's not just about becoming a leader, but also becoming a good follower and having that positive attitude, not looking at purely on the negative aspect of the faculty, but looking at the faculty metaphysically in philosophy, beyond what is physical, because they will not really work that well if you will not look at them that best. So we must look at them that best and include them in a wider perspective, not just in a very narrow perspective, like a horse here in the Philippines. If you will ride a kalesa, our horse here do have a cover here. But it's not, as a leader, you should not be like that. You must have widen up your perspective so that you will encourage them to submit. You can encourage them to do their task truly, faithfully, and with passion. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you so much. Very good sharing of insights and experience. Really, thank you. Now, yeah, it caught my attention. Now, you mentioned about motivating our teachers, but I guess I would really like to support what you're saying, but that is already a practice of what we mean by equity. Being equitable. Equitable means here, you have to look at and consider each person, each teacher. We don't understand them as a group, because individual contains his or her own differences, her uniqueness, her backgrounds, for example. So you are right there. We have to motivate our teachers to fulfill, to accomplish what we set, to be accomplished. But we cannot motivate unless we know our teachers well. Because one motivation to one teacher may not be the same motivation to the other teacher. Because we motivate teachers based on their needs, based on their concerns. There may be a general motivation, yes, but to touch the person, to really understand the person, that is equity. You practice equity in your school. Once you come out and reach out individual teacher and talk to the teacher, communication is very important. It's only then that we understand each other. And when that teacher fully understands, and you touch not only the mind, but also the heart and the experience to the contribution, to the whole school, for example. The teacher will appreciate and respect you as leader as well. Respect begets respect. And without being told, the teacher will voluntarily, do what is asked for. Thank you so much for that sharing. Really, very nice. So that is equity.
Thank you, Doc Anita.
Thank you so much. And yes, I agree also, calling their attention will give them double meaning. Yeah. That is very important as leaders. I would like to welcome now Mr. Jeffel Valdisco Pabiliar, I guess, who would like to share also yes.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Please allow me to something. Anybody can hear me?
Yeah, we can.
I think
I
anybody
can
can
hear.
hear. Thank you. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share something about the inclusive communication. For me, in my own understanding, there are three principles of inclusive communication. As what I have learned in your presentation, ma'am. First is the principle what I have discovered is empathy. It means that we need something a flexible policy. And second is culture. We know that inclusive communication is only part of the culture. Then as worker in different agency or in community, we're going to build inclusive company culture. And last is empowerment. From different jobs and descriptions, we are as leader or in the managerial implication, we are providing tools for them for inclusion and to showcase their role model and behavior. That's all. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. You have said it very well. That is right, very, very true. So we need to be empathetic. By empathy, we mean that we put our shoes on the other, like we feel, put ourselves on the other person and we understand. That's communication. We understand the culture of the person, the differences. And so, well said, Trevor. Thank you so much. Do you have some challenges in implementing EDI in your school? Or maybe some difficulties that you have encountered? Maybe participants would also like to share and to listen and to learn from
each other. You see the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goal 4, it's about quality education, right? But then there is this advancing DEI. Yeah, not really, but it's like about equity, inclusive, and quality education. Has to do also with the DEI that we are talking about here. Only what we are trying to explore is our DEI implementation in our school, because, you know, this is really a big problem. There are challenges that are happening because we are dealing with, you know, different people. We may be just like all Filipinos, for example, but they're different. That's individual differences. They're unique. And there are clashes, problems. And if these problems cannot be addressed, it might cause bigger problems. And then work performance will be affected. Once the teacher is affected emotionally, psychologically, then they are disturbed and they could not perform well. So if we are going to implement equity inclusion in our classes, our students, I would like to make them to fully develop our students to be able to accept differences, accept and respect differences, and then be fair, treat the person as individual, and then let all the teachers, employees feel they belong. Three elements, three components that are very important in any organization, particularly in the school, because teachers are model. So our actions, our deeds speak louder, and students are looking at us. And whether we like it or not, we are influencing them directly or indirectly. From survey, I did not know though, Anita, if everyone experiences that I have in higher education. I have in higher education, well, been given that most are from basic education. Yeah, I agree with you. More in basic education. I think you're referring now to teachers in basic education. That's yeah, but that could also happen in higher education. There are also conflicts about differences. And what happened is the teachers are grouping, you know, this is a group of teachers, another group of teachers, and group of teachers, and they are doing some chismis and chica, you know, and they are trying to kind of do something words, you know, against the other group of teachers or against that individual teacher. That could still happen. But yeah, you're right, more in the basic education teachers, yes. This happens in the organization, in companies. Anything that, you know, a group of people or groups of people come together, there are always differences. Differences of ideas, we fight because of ideas.
And now, you see, if leaders, for example, in the school, they would say, who are those who are those against my, and who are those favor, who are those, something like that. They're not that open that much. When we say inclusive, we're open for ideas to all teachers, no matter what their ideas are. We respect them, respect their opinions, and then we sort out what are those ideas that would help and those that maybe not this time, but maybe in the future. There is this openness. There is this being open-minded and respect. It's inclusive leadership. And we don't put grudge in our heart. And we don't choose teachers and discriminate others. That is not inclusive. Because differences do not only lie on physical, do not only lie on gender, but our ideas, our experiences, our thoughts, our likes and dislikes. These are differences. I mentioned in my slide that no one person is diverse. No one person is diverse. But when these people form of groups, we call it becomes a mosaic of people, and there is diversity. It becomes diverse. With a clash of they fight because of ideas. So, as a leader, know your teachers very well. Because knowing your teachers would help you understand the need of each teacher. But what's the purpose? The purpose is to be able to reach our goal. We have our mission, vision, goals in the school to accomplish. We have stakeholders to serve. We serve our students, to serve the parents, serve the community. We are producing students. And we form our students based on the vision, mission, goals, and objectives of the school. So we form students holistically. And in the formation of the students holistically, we integrate the DEI so that when they go out, they would be able to practice to respect differences. They would be able to practice fair treatment to every individual, every people, wherever they are. And they are inclusive. I mean, they will respect all people, regardless of differences. Now, when I look at these people with disability, my heart is broken. Because the limitation of the individual to perform what I can perform. So that's supposed to be our attitude in the organization. We respect differences. We are privileged that we have this, maybe. But yet we aspire to become better and best to all. And if all people will do that in the organization, if all the employees, the workforce, have the same mindset, have the same heart, then they are united to reach, to accomplish, and to perform better for the good of the school, and of course, for the good of the students. So you achieve your vision, mission, and goals. It's very important. It's very important, the DEI to be implemented. But that would start from the top leaders. If there are conflicts among teachers, they could not solve it themselves, top leaders or anyone in charge up. will come in and help. Not to scold or criticize. That's not helping. What we do is to communicate, to reach out, be empathetic, as mentioned by Jeffrey. Once we respect differences and accept person, inclusive, and address fair treatment to each one, that's equity, then we are on way forward. Thank you so much for this one. You're sharing, Mr. Sir J. Roy. The important ingredient to a BEI is to be that flexible, yes, in accepting and respecting diversity. As a leader or even a member, one must be accountable of respecting and accepting differences present in school for them to channel the same to students. You're right. I definitely agree with you. We need to be flexible by open-minded and adjust and adapt. And we should accept and respect people, all people. We meet in the school, teachers, all stakeholders. Because as mentioned, that we are going to, we are the models, and what we are doing will be transferred. We are the channels of this one to our students. Well said. Thank you so much for your sharing of thoughts. And now we have from Rita Daliwa. I agree with you, Mamanita, when teachers are able to freely share their ideas and comments without fear of being judged or retaliated by the administrator or leader, then that is inclusivity. I agree. Definitely, you're correct. It is very hard to share ideas when they will be taken as a threat by the administrator, and there will be negative repercussions. You have said well. I wonder, I hope that our leaders and managers have really very good orientation to EDI or DEI. Hopefully, because implementing DEI comes from the top. And of course, we teachers should, practice DEI in our own way. We practice, we implement, we know what it means. We know that this is important, but I call for top leaders and managers to start implementing because, members or teachers have little or no power, to check other teachers. That will become a problem. You cannot work over the teachers. If I'm doing well and there are the teachers who are making noises and who are creating problems, and that would be the job of the top leaders and managers. But I am not telling again that we cannot practice. We all can practice EDI in our own way. And we have from Almira, yes, to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion of the students is knowing their differences. Yes, true. so that in implementing EDI or DEI, we should know the culture of our students. If we are dealing with our students, if we are dealing with teachers, we must know the background and culture of our teachers to be equitable, inclusive to them, and to be able to respect their differences, accept who they are. We are doing this with a purpose, as I already mentioned. Our purpose as an organization or in a school to achieve our mission, vision, and to effect good education, quality education. We don't like our schools to have bad reputation simply because of, maybe not implementing DEI properly. That was troubles. And perhaps there are problems among teachers which leaders do not know. That is why in the framework, the real framework I gave, the first step is reveal relevant opportunities. That is discover. Discover the problems, the concerns, the issues of your organization. Maybe there are already problems down there, but leaders just do not know. Discovery is the first thing. It's only then that we can implement DEI because we know what are the sources, what are the problems. Then we move to the next steps. And yes, you're right here. Sir Jake, the DEI in the classroom heals the brokenness of learners and that which motivates them to be someone in the future. Where is that? I would like the idea, the concept of brokenness. So powerful. Huh? We see broken, the person is turned into pieces. It's very impactful. And if the person turned into pieces, that's broken, and then we heal, the DEI is the healing process. And so we did great. Great on the part of our students. And they can be also healers in the future when they will be a job or even in process. Perhaps they can apply DEI in their family, community. We just don't know. Once the person understands the meaning of DEI from the heart, that would drive them, influence them to practice. Because they appreciate it. They see the value of DEI. And if we can practice this in our organization, why not? We practice DEI, we heal the brokenness of our teachers. Very nice. Well said. Thank you so much of the term, the word. I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. Thank you again. Cedric Boy, nice. I agree with you, Gabriel Marcel. I read the article too about the brokenness. So nicely said.
Welcome, Doc Anita.
Yes, because we all are broken. but the degree of brokenness, that the intensity, that the level may be different from one to another, but we are broken people. Okay, thank you to Rita. Welcome. I wish there are also administrators, managers, leaders, and I wish that there will be like orientation or training for our leaders and administrators. So we have training on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our education is calling for that, right? We are implementing inclusive education, equitable education. And hopefully our leaders are really very much well-oriented about DEI. Okay, thank you. So, if there is a need to have this DEI training, I think Sir Jake can assist, can help. So you can contact Sir Jake Boy, Carbon Kilio in the Philippines. If you need some assistance about DEI training, I guess, that would be very, very nice if you could contact me. Thank you. Do we still have some questions? Or maybe you would like to share your experience or perhaps your thoughts and ideas. Once you share your experience, the thoughts and ideas, others would also be able to benefit from our sharing. As I have mentioned at the start of this session, that we consider this one as our professional learning platform where we share our thoughts, ideas. Just feel free. So I encourage you all. Again, if you could not, if you would prefer to use our chat board, then you can. But then if you prefer to speak it out, then you may also do so. Ms. Chow? Do we have more questions?
I believe that's all the questions for our first topic. And now we can have some time for a short break before coming back to our second topic.
Okay, thank you so much. We have so what time do we come back?
We will come back at 10:45. So okay. We have a 15-minute break.
Okay.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Our next topic.
Kindly allow me to reshare. Kindly allow me to reshare again. Thank you very much.
Welcome back. We are now going to explore the second topic of today's session, managing a diverse teacher workforce. We're going to explore the 3 key points as follows. What is a diverse workforce and what are the dimensions of diversity in the workforce? What are some challenges in managing a diverse teacher workforce and how to address them? And what are the tips for managing a diverse workforce? What is a diverse workforce and what are the dimensions of diversity in the workforce? The concept of workforce diversity has evolved over the years as organizations have become more global and inclusive. In the past, workforce diversity was often thought of in terms of gender and race. Diverse workforce is the inclusion of employees from different backgrounds, races, cultures, genders, ages, and sexual orientations in the workplace. It includes employees with different abilities and disabilities. In simple terms, it refers to a diverse organization with a heterogeneous workforce. Over time, the definition of workforce diversity has expanded to include a wide range of dimensions, including but not limited to gender, race, ethnicity, age, sexual orientation, religion, socioeconomic status, ability, and skills. Workforce diversity refers to the representation of dimensions of diversity in the collective makeup or pool of individuals within the workforce. This prompts us to ask, what are the dimensions of diversity in the workforce? The dimension of diversity in the workforce include Dimension 1, internal diversity, Dimension 2, external diversity, Dimension 3, organizational diversity, and Dimension 4, worldview diversity. Dimension 1, internal diversity. Internal diversity characteristics are those that the employees are born into. This includes gender, race, ethnicity, age, sexual orientation, religion, national origin, cultural identity, and physical ability. While these are personal factors, they tie directly to the 30 rights in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. An employee should not be subject to any workplace discrimination or unconscious bias related to these personal statuses. Dimension 2, external diversity. External diversity characteristics are those that employees acquire from but aren't characteristics that they were born with. While external diversity can be heavily influenced by other people and their surroundings, even forcibly so, they ultimately are aspects that a person can change and often do over time. Some examples of external diversity include education, personal interests, personal experiences, appearance, religious beliefs, location, familial status, relationship status, socioeconomic status, immigration status, among others. It's important to note that while these external diversity types have the ability to be changed, often they can be difficult to change due to economic or political systems put in place. Dimension 3, organizational diversity. Organizational diversity relates to the characteristics within the workplace, like job functions, management status, pay type, employment status, union membership, among others, that can create different perspectives and experiences. Organizational diversity is important to track due to its impact on workplaces. Every level of the organization requires diversity to improve overall DEI within an organization. This means every job, function, and department is staffed with a variety of people from different demographics. And Dimension 4, worldview diversity. Each of our worldviews is different and shaped by our past experiences. Events in our life affect our worldview diversity on a day-to-day basis. Examples of worldview diversity include moral values, social attitudes, political beliefs, knowledge of history, and one's outlook on life. As organizations increase their workforce diversity, they may find many employees will have different worldviews and experiences that may not feel relatable to their peers. A better understanding of the four dimensions of diversity enable the leaders and managers to draw on the unique talents, backgrounds, and perspectives of the diverse teachers to drive innovation, better performance, and contribute to school improvement. In addition, exploring some challenges in managing a diverse workforce might help to manage diversity in the workplace. This brings us to the second key point of my presentation. What are some challenges in managing a diverse teacher workforce and how to address them? Some challenges in managing a diverse teacher workforce include communication issues, technology, too many opinions, cultural misunderstandings, hostility, inequitable inclusion, and discrimination. Communication issues. Communication issues can be somewhat common on diverse teams and for a wide variety of reasons. There may be language barriers, different communication styles or preferences, or people with hearing loss on your team. It's important to address these challenges before they become problematic. Let's say, for example, you find a generational difference in communication preferences. Your younger team members prefer to communicate via Slack, while your older team members prefer to use the phone. How to address this challenge? Set guidance on when and how to use each platform. That is, you may suggest Slack for quick questions and information communication, while you use the phone, in-person meetings, or Zoom calls for more in-depth conversations. For language barriers, translate materials when applicable and use pictures and infographics for easy to understand. When there's someone with hearing loss and struggling to follow the conversation in meetings, the meeting leader should remind attendees to speak clearly and slowly, and each attendee should feel comfortable asking for clarification if needed. Technology. Perhaps the biggest difference between generations is how familiar they are with new technology. Even though millennials are already known for their love of smartphones and social media, Generation Z is likely to be even more connected. They won't just like technology, they will be reliant on it and unable to function without it. Youngest teachers could not teach well without high-tech classrooms, while the oldest teachers would be resistant to and uncomfortable with the same technology. How to address this challenge? Administrators will have to find a way to balance differences between generations so that all teachers can be effective without requiring a different level of technology. Too many opinions. Diverse teachers have different ways of approaching the same scenario and putting forth their ideas. Teachers who do so are extremely vulnerable to your organization. They will keep driving innovative ideas and identify issues. However, an excessive number of opinions can lead to failure to reach a consensus. Particularly, innovative solutions to problems may go unnoticed among the plethora of other ideas. Too many opinions can compromise the organization's ability to stick to tight deadlines and can slow down decision-making and progress toward goals. How to address this challenge? Elect a committee of high-performing executives who will hear every opinion and make the final decision themselves. If a consensus cannot be reached, the committee can evaluate all of the options and identify the best one. Once a majority has been established among the committee, then you have your decision. Cultural misunderstandings. Misunderstandings can be common when you bring people from different cultures together. Some of the most common examples of cultural differences in the workplace are giving a thumbs up, using your left hand, or patting someone on the back are offensive in some cultures. Dress code. For instance, younger generations who value personal expression, dressing more casually at work than older generations who value conformity and traditional professional dress. Feedback. Different cultures have their own expectations about giving and receiving feedback in the workplace. How to address this challenge? Help the aggrieved team member recognize a misunderstanding by creating an inclusive environment. Encourage teachers to accept feedback when they have said or done anything disrespectful. And encourage teachers to use teachable moments to promote a more inclusive workplace while deepening their own knowledge and appreciation of different cultures. Hostility. People make judgments based on prejudices as opposed to logic and facts. Sadly, the same holds true in the workplace. People will make decisions and pass judgment based on unconscious prejudices despite their best intentions. When teachers question one another's competence to do their duties, mistrust can develop. They're different from me, therefore I can't trust them, or they don't know what they're doing, are common thoughts. How to address this challenge? Conduct a diversity training for teachers. It can help to educate them and mitigate any bias. They will understand that differences between colleagues are beneficial and nothing to fret about. Communicate your organization values. Resistant teachers will eventually realize that their values no longer align with that of their employer and leave. If you're concerned about losing star employees, just remember that quality employees who align with your values are more beneficial to your vision and mission. In equitable inclusion, an inclusive workplace may mean something different to everyone. For a transgender team member, it might include a space to add pronouns in your people platforms and gender-neutral bathrooms. For a teacher suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, it might include a mental health benefit and flex hours to see a therapist. And for a working parent, it might include a child care flexible spending account and planning team building events during work hours. As such, it's very possible that your workplace will feel inclusive to some, but not to others. How to address this challenge? Remember that an inclusive workplace is always a work in progress and should be driven by team member feedback. Focus on what will impact the most people, but also pay attention to the feedback from those having the worst employee experience. For example, you may only have 2 team members who openly identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer, but they feel the least supported. Use their feedback to evaluate their experience and create more equitable inclusion. And discrimination. As you diversify your team, it's possible you could see more biases, discrimination, and harassment. Employees have witnessed or experienced discrimination in the workplace based on age, race, gender, or LGBTQ plus identity. This can hold employees back from bringing their authentic selves to work, hindering innovation, creativity, and teamwork. It can create an uncomfortable and even dangerous work environment and damage your school's reputation. How to address this challenge? Conduct a diversity training. Implement strict policies against any forms of discrimination in the workplace and take immediate action against those who don't adhere to the rules. Set expectations through a code of conduct. Be clear that DEI is a priority and that discrimination will not be tolerated. Those are some challenges in managing a diverse workforce you may add to the list. Furthermore, there are some strategies to manage a diverse teacher workforce that we may adapt. This takes us to the last key point of my presentation. What are some tips for managing a diverse teacher workforce? I would like to share with you 7 tips as follows. Tip 1. Prioritize communication. Ensure everyone is on the same page. Make sure that all teachers understand all the procedures, policies, safety rules, and any other important information. Work to ensure that cultural and language barriers are overcome when communicating with your teaching staff. Have important work materials, such as operation manuals, translated if possible. Pictures and symbols that everybody can understand should be used where applicable, and analyze your organization's current communication strategy to ensure all your diverse teachers have access to important information. Tip 2. Respect individuality. Know your teachers. Understand that your teachers are from different cultural and social backgrounds and may not have common preferences. Try to avoid stereotypes to ensure that teachers don't feel alienated. When the individuality of your teachers is respected, they will feel more motivated. Communicate with each teacher and try to understand each preferences better. Tip 3. Encourage interaction. Encourage your teaching staff to collaborate with colleagues who are different from them. Create work groups that reflect the diversity that exists in the workplace. This will not only help the teachers know and value each other as individuals, but will also expand the views and experiences of team members, helping them appreciate the strength of their combined perspectives and talents. Foster a collaborative environment where everyone's voice can be heard. It is an important step towards successfully managing diversity in the workplace. Tip 4. Provide diversity training. Sometimes teachers behave insensitively towards their colleagues, not because they want to be mean or discriminatory, but simply because they do not know any better. Provide diversity training to your diverse teaching staff, especially those in leadership positions, program heads, or program managers. This helps them understand and respect the differences in religion, race, ethnicity, cultural values, gender, and thinking styles, as well as their own prejudices, stereotypes, and cultural biases. Tip 5. Build an inclusive workplace. Create inclusive policies and practices by ensuring equal treatment to all your diverse teachers and establishing behavioral standards. Inclusion is diversity put into practice. Without inclusion, diversity is of no use. When teacher feels that each is truly included in an organization, teacher engagement and participation will increase. Ensure your organization's overall practices and policies are inclusive of everyone and do not favor or discriminate a certain set of teachers. Here are some tips on building an inclusive work environment. Put policies in place that support diverse groups. Connect with your teachers. ensure equal treatment to all teachers, be empathetic, develop behavioral standards, and create a sense of belonging. Tip 6. Zero tolerance policy. Zero tolerance policy means that off-color jokes about ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, or religion should be met with zero tolerance enforcement. Slurs, name-calling, and bullying employees for any reason has no place in the workplace. Policies should be put in place to handle misconduct and communicate to employees that this type of behavior will not be tolerated. Organizations need to make sure employees feel safe reporting any instances of inappropriate behavior by co-workers by establishing a formal complaint policy so employees know how to report misconduct to the proper authority within an organization. And tip 7, receive feedback regularly. Teacher feedback is very important. Ask your teachers to provide feedback and suggestions about the DEI policies currently in place. This will help you create a more fulfilling and welcoming environment to support each teacher. Teachers should feel able to provide feedback without the fear of reprisal. I have just finished presenting topic 4, managing a diverse teacher workforce. As a wrap-up, having a diverse teacher workforce sends a powerful signal that adults from all backgrounds have important contributions to make in our schools. It shows that our educational system reflects the multicultural society in which we live. On that note, managing a diverse workforce requires a deeper understanding of the 4 dimensions of diversity, namely, Dimension 1, internal diversity, Dimension 2, external diversity, Dimension 3, organizational diversity, and Dimension 4, worldview diversity. It has been said that no profession is more assured to change the world than teachers. It is perhaps the most important job there is. Why then are we not equipping our diverse teachers, our most important professionals, with the ability to feel safe in their workplace? Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for a wonderful video. And now we will have the discussion regarding to our topic of managing a diverse workforce. So please, should you have any questions, kindly type them into the chat box or unmute yourself for discussion. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we have just watched the video and now we are ready to share our thoughts, our ideas, experiences, and perhaps ask questions. Actually, the topic 2 is kind of a branch out from our first topic. This is about, now we focus on the teacher workforce. Okay, so I hope that we all can relate to the topic, including our leaders, our managers, of course. Just a short kind of maybe thoughts about the topic background. The topic is about how do we manage a diverse teacher workforce. This is not only for managers and leaders, but we can also look at it from the point of view of the teachers, like our experiences that might be addressed by the leaders, as well as we can see the reality. This will also be the time for us to reflect on the experiences we have, the reality that's going on in our particular workplace. Now, in the presentation, I mentioned about dimensions of diversity. So we see the expansion of the meaning of diversity from before the old time. Diversity is understood as gender, culture, or race, or religion. So over time, the meaning of diversity is expanded. And it is now really going from the internal diversity to external, outside. So you see the components of each individual having all this baggage within. To mention this internal diversity, we have this external diversity. So, and then we have this organizational diversity and the worldview diversity. It's quite heavy if you look at it. But these different dimensions of university are within each of us. We are carrying this one each. So by then, it is but natural that there are clashes because we have our own. So what we do in the workforce or in the workplace is to be able to heal each other. So then there, I have mentioned about the challenges. These are only some challenges, there will be more. And how to address the challenges. You may have another way of addressing the challenges. It's just general. It's just to show us that there are really conflicts happening in our workplace as diverse teachers. And we also address them. We don't just leave them there because it might become problematic. As well as I also included some tips to manage our own diversity from our own baggages and that also of others. So the purpose is we are going to help each other to grow personally and professionally, and this would enable us to perform our job better or best. So with that in mind, we come up with the presentation. And maybe at this point in time, you all have some ideas, some thoughts that you would like to share with us about your diverse teacher workforce. Thank you really for watching the video.
Yes, I can now see in the chat box some questions and inputs from our participants. Starting with the question from Ms. Gentia Finn.
I am scrolling.
Mamayang gabi tayo.
So is this from Ria Liquilio? Am I correct now, Ms. Chow? It's the first one. Okay, so here from Ria Liquilio. I teach in a small school here with us. There is no electricity supply, no clean drinking water, and we travel long distances to get to school. But in the 2 years that have passed until now, we are inspired by our head teacher for 2 years. that has been our head teacher. Oh, very nice. Wonderful, really. He has been good at our school. Our school received various awards in 2 years. Each classroom also changed a lot, and teachers' misunderstandings were avoided because he is a leader who works and doesn't just give orders. Very wonderful, amazing. He has been our companion during the 2 years he led us, even though our school is far away, even if the road is difficult because it is a mountain. It has not been impossible because of our head teacher. Now our school is being recognized in the division here in Region 6. Thank you for sharing that experience. And that's really very insightful. See, we see leaders really affect so much and leaders make a difference. Indeed. See, this leader really implements DEI. And more than that, thank you again. I hope our leaders and managers will be, what I mean is that they would do the same as your leader. I could imagine your school as you described. But the wonderful thing is that teachers never complain. And they are very motivated. They are cooperative and collaborative to perform and to do their task. And there were no misunderstandings. That's because of the leader. That leader is inclusive leader, transformative leader. Transform the teachers to what he envisioned. That is why a leader should be visionary. Because without the vision, leaders might be swayed. A visionary leader, a transformative leader, a leader by doing. Thank you so much for sharing. I couldn't say more. Okay, we have here from Ronel Campanero. How can we take advantages of the diversity of the teachers for the betterment of the institution? Very interesting question. But if you look at diversity, the diversity of the teachers, really, I would say, is very important in every workforce because the diverse minds, the diverse ideas, opinions, insights, thoughts are very important for innovation, transformation, for the betterment of the school. we welcome the diversity of the teachers. And I mentioned the dimensions of diversity. So then we can, I would say, utilize the diversity of the teacher for innovation, for improvement, for the betterment of the school, as well as for quality education. I could imagine if we have all uniform ideas and uniform insight. I couldn't imagine that kind of thing. With diverse ideas, with diverse experiences, with diverse backgrounds, you can create something new for the betterment of the school. This is why it is encouraged in the school to have diverse workforce. I can give you an example. Now, here in Vietnam, for instance, companies, industries have diverse workforce. And this diverse workforce helps the company grow, develop, and productive. If that happens in companies and industries, it could happen as well in the school. I think this is one reason why Vietnam now is economically progressing. They invite different kinds of foreigners from different places, different countries, to have improved the economy. So as I said, if this happened in that aspect, it could happen in the school. We encourage diverse workforce in the school. And you mentioned how we can take advantages, listen to them, respect their ideas, respect their differences. As mentioned by Jake, flexible, accepting differences, and acknowledge. Let them feel that they belong, that they are valued. Now, once you have these shared ideas, shared opinions, this will be your channel to develop some innovations for the good of the school. And they can as well perform. They can do, depending on their skills and abilities, their expertise. Thank you for that, Neil. And next we have here from Sareen Yang. I am just curious why we use the diversity of teachers, but not DEI of teachers. It is like that only diversity is focused on equity and inclusion. Okay, very interesting question. Yeah, what do we mean here by just using the term diverse is, this is very apparent. We look at it right away, in the workforce. We can easily distinguish differences. We can, I would say, this is sometimes physical. So we see the different dimensions of diversity, but our workforce is diverse. It's composed of differing people. But I believe that behind addressing diversity, we are as well implementing equity and inclusion. That is why the first topic that we had is about diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we just narrowed down from the topic to this particular group of teachers. But I hope that it's quite clear to us that in implementing, diversity, in understanding that our diverse teachers, we are implementing equity and inclusion. But we see the primary thing to do is to understand the diverse teachers. Know your teachers, know our teachers, and then we can narrow down to equity and then acceptance, that is inclusion. We have from home, sabay. Among four, diversity, organization is very important because it is to understanding on socialization. Okay, thank you for sharing your thought. Yes, because we belong to the organization at work, and so we have to really look at it as one, I would say, area to consider. Because in the organization, we look at the management of the organization, we look at our relationship with one another, we look at some, I would say, the pay status, employment status. Sometimes we have these different unions that we are called to, that would affect so much on our perceptions and experiences at work. So the point here is that we're going to respect the diversity of that is inherent in the organization. From Rita Daliwa, I relate so much about what you said about ensuring everyone is on the same page. When faculty and other employees learn about important activities in school or even policies through the grapevine instead of knowing about this through a memo, then many employees feel alienated. They will really not be on the same page. And it creates chaos. Thank you for sharing your experience, and that's really true. I know some schools are also having that same practice, but I hope that the school can change that practice. It's always good to have kind of, from top, then communicate it to us so that all of us will be able to get that same information, not just from someone else, not just from, it should be in the form of formal communication, like, as you said here, a memo, so that everyone would be in the same page. And they would interpret it maybe differently or whatever, but from one source. this would really, as you said, I agree with you, this would create a chaos. How do you think that will be addressed? Because if that problem will persist, teachers are less cooperative, and that would not make good in the teaching workplace. I wonder if the teachers can, any from the teachers or a group of teachers can also say about it. I hope that the teachers have the voice to express themselves. That's quite important because that would affect performance. One thing I could say and suggest is you can politely mention that to your leader. Maybe the leader isn't aware that it creates some problems. Okay, thank you for sharing your experience. And as the only way I can say is that you can present that problem to your leader. From Ronel, Uri Liu, I hope I have read correctly, is diversity of teachers in a particular department or strand like technical vocational livelihood is such a great learning opportunity for the students, am I right? Yes, that's right. Diversity of the teachers in technical vocational livelihood is really very, very important, and it could help the students because there will be different ways of doing, you know, different ways of approaching the problem. I know that in the vocational livelihood, they are really dealing with actual, real life problems. Diverse teacher workforce can learn from one another and can improve the way you teach and implement the program. And of course, students are benefited. If you have a diverse teacher workforce in that program, certainly students will learn more. And they will be able to appreciate the program and perform better. Simply because teachers from different backgrounds would be able to come together and improve the program and implement the program in a manner that students would be able to enjoy, you know, and learn meaningfully. So we have here from Mao Mao So. I'm really interested in diversity training, which is totally new for me. So please simplify and give some details of diversity training for teachers. Okay, this is very interesting information, as well as the desire, you know, to have about diversity training for teachers. I wonder if Jake, you can say something about this diversity training for teachers.
Yes, yes, Doc Anita. Good afternoon here in the Philippines. Good afternoon to everyone. With regards to the question of diversity training, it's actually in our part here in the university where I am working. It's part of our faculty development plan, where we try to really emphasize that our faculty members are different from each other, and instead a thing that instead of looking at the diversity is just a term, but we must focus on the talent. Diversity is not diversity, but a talent that can craft, can create a success within a organization. It will help. Now, in terms of this diversity training, you can invite actually speakers who are coming from different language, different areas where there is actually, before doing it, you must have an assessment of your faculty or your teachers. What are the commonality that they have or the differences that they have? And from there, you come up with a training design that would really emphasize on how to respect them, what are their rights. The policy is very important. Highlighting the policy on diversity is very important. The organization must have a very clear program on diversity, because whether we like it or not, in the international arena, it's not anymore the ethnicity. It's not anymore of looking at myself as the least, but looking at myself as a wider whole who can truly contribute to the organization. I hope I answered the question on diversity.
Yeah, thank you so much. Very good. You have said well. Thank you for your sharing. And this is really actual, this is a real experience you are doing in your university. And I agree to what Jake shared with us about diversity training for teachers. It's not really about diverse, like internal diversity, I would say. It's not about external diversity, but it's really more about developing the talents, of the faculty, acknowledging that we have contributions that we can contribute for the good of the school, for the betterment of the students' education. So along with that, then you would be having your plan as mentioned, but before that, you need to have your a survey, a kind of a survey. So that's what we call assessment, where they are, what are their needs.
Needs assessment, Doc.
Yeah, needs assessment, right? That's the right term. So that you will be able to be guided on what will be incorporated in the training. But of course, you have the vision, you have the goal. Why are you going to conduct this training? What is the purpose? So you have a purpose in mind, which you would like to achieve at the end of the training. And then do the sequence, the planning. After you have the result of your needs assessment, you are going to sort out, like, you have to classify, you have to grouping the needs, and what are the most needed that are recurring in the survey. Because if it's recurring in the survey, then it's quite important. And then you get the scope of the training, the topics to be included, with having the purpose in mind of the training. And as also said, shared with us, you can have your external speakers, you can invite speakers. There are good speakers out there who can help achieve the purpose of the training. So it's a kind of a plan. You have to make a strategic plan for that. And that's really very important. I appreciate the sharing object that it is embedded in the program, that there is this diversity training for teachers. And that would really help a lot to achieve the mission, vision, and goals of your school or of your department, whatever is that. So I hope that, and okay, one thing more, after the training, there must be a follow-up, because training happens only like 1 day or 2 days or 3 days. Then what happens after? There must be quite really a follow-up, monitoring, and there is evaluation. So implementation, then evaluation, monitoring, evaluation, and then feedbacking. And so on. And if there be, after maybe quite some time of the implementation of that, there may be another training that you need, depending on needs, so you can do as well. So that the purpose will be different from the first training that you have. You can go on in a cycle. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for also asking that question. Okay, so we have here. From Almira, it is acknowledging a range of differences. So diversity is acknowledging a range of the differences in the classroom. Teaching for inclusion signifies embracing diversity. Yes, you're right. Mm-hmm. Okay, inclusion is signifies embracing diversity. Yeah, so that so the diversity, as I like to acknowledge your sharing of thoughts, Amira. But you see, diversity is acknowledging, respecting differences, accepting differences, and then inclusion is embracing these differences. At the same time, you need to also fill in the equity here so that there is, it can be justifiable and sustainable, because diversity and inclusion alone would not be enough. That might not heal the wound of the teachers. You need inclusion, you need equity to address the individual needs of new teachers. Then all are happy. Teachers are happy reporting to class every day because they feel that they are important, they are valued, they feel that they belong and respected, and that their individual needs are addressed. That makes teachers happy, motivated, engaged. Okay, very nice here from Jake. A leader who acknowledges the diversity of teachers around without marking their identity makes them special. Feedback mechanism makes an organization alive, meaning it welcomes shortcomings and places room for improvement. A leader must always bear in mind the dynamism present in the workplace. If he or she will give up, it means that he has a lot of things to build internally, right? Along the side of the teacher, the success of the workforce does not lie alone to the leader, I agree, but also to the teachers. We are leaders in our own way. If we look at the diversity as a threat to the organization, I tell you that the organization will not grow, Instead, it will continually highlight that one is superior and the other is not. Respect is important, always have it in the workplace. Feedback mechanism is to have clear communication and interaction will help organize to grow. Well said. I wonder if we have the voice to give feedback to the leaders and managers as well. And is feedback also being welcome among teachers? I hope, because if teachers are not properly trained, I mean, lack of it, maybe I would say lack of education of the AI, they might not welcome feedback. Feedback is part of the DEI. So if the teachers, from the point of the teachers, they are not welcoming feedback, that's quite difficult to handle. I mean, there's feedback between teachers, among teachers. This is very, very important to sustain DEI in the workforce. And thank you for sharing it. I think that's one topic I mentioned in my slide, that regular feedback must be applied in the workforce. But the point is that, do we know how to give the feedback? That's another thing. The manner of giving feedback matters a lot. So I suppose when we give feedback, we use the sandwich kind. I don't know if you're familiar with the sandwich. Like say nice first, and then at the end you say something that you would like to say, like to correct or to identify the problem, and then close it with rapport. So we cannot just shout at one another when giving feedback, but we set a mode that is convenient, that is friendly in giving a feedback. And this feedback mechanism is very important. But I guess what is trying to tell here is that when we see feedback mechanism, it's a kind of a structure or a way of doing. Am I correct? Yes, some tips of giving a feedback, because that's quite sensitive topic. And another one, thank you again, Jay. A leader must believe that diversity is just a term, but what matters is that talent that every member can contribute to the success of the organization. The brokenness of the other will motivate the other to prosper and become a project in the making. Diversity will put a gap, but never look at it that way. Instead, look at it as a strength to be continually developed. Well said. So nice. So I hope that we're all in the same page, you know, and see the very insightful suggestions and thoughts about dealing with diversity in the workforce. We look at diversity not a threat, but a strength to move forward. And true, we are happy to report to our school when we are respected, we are accepted, we are valued. We look forward on that day to come to school. It's sad that some teachers are forcing themselves to report to school simply because they don't like people in the school. They don't like, they just they just hate. There is this inner bag of, I would say, remorse. And I think that's one kind of brokenness that our school, our workforce would heal in process. We hope that our working place would heal the brokenness that we have, that we're happy to report. I look forward to meet my colleagues, to meet my students, to meet my leaders. I am happy to be with them because I know that I am accepted as I am. So let us think of diversity, inclusion, and equity as our guide, as our motivation to keep on going and to move forward. And we should develop that right there in our school, in our workforce. So we are all leaders by our own nature. We are entitled. So we can lead DEI in the workforce. We can initiate. And somehow we need it to be sustained. That is why we need a structure to make that DEI sustainable. And hopefully you have already the structure of DEI in your school. We have here from Mo Sabay. Gender diversity include LGBTQ. This means there are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, moreover, intersex and asexual. Yes, definitely, we are included. I guess we have that in our dimensions of diversity, have internal diversity. This is born with this that kind of diversity. Rita Daliwa, yes, I agree. Cascading from top management to the bottom is very important. Yes, thank you. Because top leaders are the ones, I will say, leading the organization. And so it would really be very important gesture if we would include DEI in their leadership. But as also mentioned, teachers can initiate and can implement DEI. Okay. Do we have more insights and experiences?
Yes, Dr. Anita, I believe that's all for our discussion for today's session.
Okay, so I guess we have so far no more questions or insights, right? And I would like to thank you all for joining us, and I hope that you can capture something from today and that you could apply in your own workforce. And that really matters much to me. I am really very appreciative of your time. I know that you have your own schedule and you have the lunch time, even for some countries like in the Philippines and other countries may be being disturbed because of our session, yet you are still with us. That's really great, and I really appreciate that very much. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in our upcoming sessions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anita, and thank you to all of our participants. Before we close our session today, I would like to remind you with some important notes. All the materials, as well as the assignment forms, are available on our program's website under the Modules 2022-2023 section and are also shared in the chat box. So please kindly download and save them to your devices. Please complete the assignment on the two Google Forms before Monday, September the 5th, and your assignment will be subjected to evaluation before we issue the e-certificate to your email. Second, your name on the assignment will be the one used in your certificate of completion, so please make sure to input them correctly. Finally, please fill in your email in the attendance link for today's section. Thank you very much for your kind support, and please share spreading information about this training program to your colleagues and friends to make a better impact on our community. We look forward to seeing you again soon, and goodbye for now. Thank you very much.